Good morning, my magnificent ones. I think I've pushed all the right buttons now, so we're recording, and welcome back to Tea with Sue. This is episode number 57. Our topic today is finding freedom. So earlier this week, we had this big freedom rally going on in Alberta and other parts of Canada. And it got me thinking about freedom. Of course, it was freedom against the tyranny of the government who was trying to make people do things that they didn't want to do. Well, so I got thinking about freedom and saying, okay, how does this all come about and where are we at with that? Well, it's so interesting that we have a tendency to focus on things outside of ourselves when it comes, especially when it comes to liberties or freedoms or things that we feel we're owed or deserve or whatever. It's all too easy to blame the other guy, to blame circumstances, events, other people, and so on, that are infringing on our right to do whatever. Well, what if for a moment we focused on the inside game? Let's face it, each of us is made up of our thoughts, our feelings, our choices, the resulting consequences of our choices, and all the experiences that we have in life have come together to make us who we are today. And here we are in whatever circumstances we're in today, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't really matter. It is what it is. To all of those things join forces to help us become who we are today. When I was in a personal growth program many years ago, there was a plaque on the wall, and the plaque said, "I have met the enemy. It is I." Well, in the process of trying that on and saying, well, what, I don't feel like the enemy, I came to realize that there's lots of times when I have been the tyrannical one in my own life, where I have been the one who has used beliefs, who has used old hurts, who has used old resentments, past experiences against myself, to keep myself stuck, to keep myself pushed down, to keep myself invisible. Well, who did it? I did. Not consciously. I don't recall deliberately setting out to make myself miserable. I didn't. But because of what I chose to believe about what was going on, the perception that I had, the expectations that I had, and in lots of cases, the assumptions that I had, kept me imprisoned, because the result was less than what I wanted. It didn't take me where I wanted to go. And there I am in this prison of my own making that I built brick by brick by brick by brick. And I'm going, wow, I'm trapped. Let me out. Let me out. And it took me lots of years to remove the bricks, toss them out, and bring light into the dark space that I occupied, from not only from time to time, but for longer periods than would have served me. So, wow, it's a topic that really bears examining, and I'm encouraging you to examine it for yourself, because the freedom that I experienced when I began to see that I was at the root of most every circumstance in my life, whether I liked what the result was or not, I was the root. I was the cause of it. Now, does that mean bad things don't happen to other people that were triggered or activated by somebody else or an event or something. No, that doesn't mean that at all. But where is the power really? Where is it that the power to self-determination resides? Well, it resides within us. So I can remember I think it was some kind of a Buddhist monk story about disaster happening, and the young monk says, well, that's absolutely terrible. And the old monk is saying, not necessarily. And he's, well, what do you mean? Well, he said, it could be good and it could be bad. And he laid out the scenario. Well, it could be bad because of this, but it also could be good because of that. The bad could lead to the good, or the good could lead to the quotes bad. It's it's all how you perceive it. And so, but where does the perception come from? It comes from inside of us. It's not out there. It's, how do I feel about that? What's my opinion on that? What do I have beliefs that support my justification for feeling angry and bitter and resentful and all of those things? Or is that just a product of my mind? Now, I say just, but it's a pretty powerful thing. So let's look at it from the sense of creation. And so Napoleon Hill once said, what the mind of man can conceive and believe, he can achieve. Well, let's face it, there was a point in time where not very many people on the planet believed that you could have such a thing as an electric light bulb. I mean, it was a fantastical notion, and most people are going, are you kidding me? We're going to be with candles or gas lamps or whatever for the rest of our lives. Like, they couldn't conceive of it in any way, shape, or form. But there were a few people on the planet, very few in comparison, who said, no, I think it's possible. They didn't know how to do it. They didn't have the foggiest clue of where to begin, but they just started experimenting. And lo and behold, over thousands of failed experiments, and over time, electricity was created, and we had or harnessed, I guess, not really created, it was always there, but they harnessed it. And here's light. Well, who did that? Well, the human mind did that. So the power we have is beyond phenomenal. So, and we get to choose for good or for ill. We get to choose what we hang on to, what we let go of. We get to choose whether we're going to keep ourselves bound and stuck and pushed down and feeling victimized and less than, or we can begin to free ourselves little by little, or in a great big explosive way. I had periods in my life where I freed myself of lots of things, like bam, all at once. And it felt so good. And then there were other times when I just softly let go of this and let go of that and let go of something else. So let me give you an example. In my recent history, I was having gallbladder issues, and I knew there was an emotional component to the physical pain I was feeling. So I looked it up in my books, and I found out that it related to bitter thoughts and old resentments that weren't let go of. And so I did some reflection on that, and I went back into my life, and I thought, how is that? Where's the connection? What's going on with that? And I realized that I had been collecting little hurts and resentments from way out of my past, and it was like they were precious gems, and I'd have them in this little container, and I'd put them in there, and I'd put them in there, and they weighed me down. And of course, over time, there were so many of them. Talk about a prison of my own making. Well, there was all of this bitterness and all of these hurts and all of these old resentments that locked themselves into my body and created gallstones. And you know the saying, oh, you have some gall to do that. Well, words have power, right? So when I came face to face with this and thought, holy crap, I've been holding on to this stuff. Why am I doing that? Like, how is it serving me? Is it making me happy? No, actually, I'm in intense pain right now. And now I'm having surgery because I'm out of options here to release myself from this. So after I had gone through the surgery and I'm in recovery, I'm mulling this over, and I was resting, so I had time to think. And I thought a lot about what it was that was right in front of me. And of course, the conclusion that I came to was, this is not serving me in any way, shape, or form. I need to do something to release all of this. So in my mind's eye, I did a little meditation, and I imagined myself putting all of these stones, what I used to think of as, you know, kind of precious. I got to hang on to these because this is part of me. I'm thinking, I don't need that part of me anymore. I got the lesson. I don't need to keep the experience in my brain. So I just started dumping them into the basket of this hot air balloon. So this was my visual, right? And I just kept filling up the basket and filling up the basket and filling up the basket until it was full. And then I just released the hot air balloon, and up it went, and up it went, and up it went into the heavens. And of course, when something like that goes up into the ether, my belief is that then it can be transformed back into something good. So I just allowed it to just explode into this series of fireworks that was glorious to watch. I thought, man, I got rid of all of that. So I felt better. I felt lighter. And in that process, I began to know again the importance of that inner journey, that if I want to free myself from whatever's going on around me and feel okay about it, it's up to me to choose what I'm going to think and how I'm going to feel about that. The event itself may be seemingly quite terrible, but I get to choose how I'm going to deal with it. I get to choose how I'm going to feel about it. I get to choose whether I'm going to move through it with more ease and grace, or I'm going to be fearful and kicking and screaming and this shouldn't be happening to me, and railing at the universe about how terrible all of this is. We do that for sure, and I've done that plenty, and there's times when I still want to do it. You know, when my car broke down, I'm, oh gee, you know, now what a big inconvenience. And I could have, you know, had a super long pity party about it, but I kept it short, you know, 30 seconds to a minute. Oh well, you know, the car's broken, and so I guess I'll talk to some friends and see if I can get some rides, or I'll just stay in and do more stuff at home. So it was my choice. And so when you think of freedom, I really want you to focus this week on who's getting in your way, who's between you and that freedom. Is it really the government? Is it really what somebody else said or did or whatever? You get to pick how you're going to think about it and feel it, and how you're going to handle it. That's all up to you. And sometimes the big question is, well, this seems like the worst that has happened, but is it really? Is it the worst that could happen? And how do I move through this? What am I going to do about this? So your choice. So when we look at finding freedom, I think it's so much, as I said before, of an inside game. sometimes we stop ourselves because we're hesitant. Well, I'd love to do this and this and this. You know, people in pre-retirement will say, oh, well, when I retire, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Well, why aren't you doing it now? Oh, but I have a mortgage, and I have kids to put through college, and I have bills, and I have on and on and on and on. Well, if that's the way you genuinely feel and believe and so on, then that will stop you for sure. No question about that. But what if you change your mind and say, I know people, for example, in their 50s who wanted to sail around the world, and they had kids and a mortgage and jobs and so on. And they said, you know what, we can just sell everything up, buy or rent a small boat, and take our kids with us. We can homeschool them, we can do whatever, and we'll just take that whole year and sail around the world. And they did that and had the grandest sort of adventure, and the growth for everybody out of that was pretty phenomenal. Well, what was the difference between the person who was bound by, well, I could never do that because I have and the person who says, well, I don't know how to do that, but I think there might be a way. So they're open to the possibility. They're open to finding their own door to freedom. And they don't even know what it looks like. They can't imagine it at the moment, maybe. They just know where they want to go. They just know the destination. Well, it's so fascinating to me how the universe conspires to support us when we set our intention to have our heart's desire, or we set our make a commitment to move forward towards a destination that we may not know how to get to, but that's what I want. And so I'm looking for a way. I don't know how. It's not, oh, I could never do that because I can't imagine how that could happen. Well, but maybe that part's not up to you. Maybe the part up to you is to imagine the possibility. Oh, wow, what if I were here? What would that look like? What would that feel like? What kind of freedom can I have? It's certainly been said. Oh, just a second here. That it's certainly been said that it's not what you have that makes you happy. It's being happy with what you have. So it's not about, well, I don't have this and this and this, so I can't be happy. If you're totally content and happy with what you have, even if all it is a bowl to put food in and a utensil to eat it from, and you're happy, well, that's freedom, right? You're not trapped or bound by anything. So, and you don't have many dishes to do either. So I kind of like that idea. So freedom. So what would you do this week to explore areas that you feel trapped by circumstances or other people or whatever, and what's going on inside you about that? So if you took the focus off the circumstance or the other person or whatever, how could you free yourself from that worry, fear, hurt, bitterness, resentment, all of those negative, anger, all those negative feelings? How could you free yourself from that? And then what doors would that open for you? You know you can do this because you're that magnificent. I keep telling you every week, and I'm going to keep telling you every week that we're born magnificent. We just, the journey is to find our way back to that magnificence. And we can do that by exploring these avenues where we're stuck, or we don't know, or we're feeling less than. And when we spend a little time on that, I think you'll be rewarded by the results. I know you will. It's happened for me. I know it can happen for you. So go take on the weekend and enjoy. I'll look forward to seeing you next week, of course. And if you're enjoying Tea with Sue, there's lots more on my YouTube channel that you can subscribe to. If you want the all of it, all of the videos that I've done up to date, then go to your app store, either Google Play or Apple Store, download the Magnificence Mentor. It's a free app. Become a member. You'll get access to all the content that's on there, and you can have fun with Tea with Sue every day if you want to. All right. Take good care, my friends. Bye for now.